How's it going, everybody? It's your world champion here, and welcome back to my arc review series where we talk about an arc of an anime. We just have some fun with it, talk about things I liked, things I didn't like, all that stuff. Give a nice little review score at the end, and overall, again, just have a lot of fun with it. And this time we're in a Naruto Shippuden arc, and not only is it that, but it's a filler arc. Hey, remember the end of the last arc where Naruto and Sasuke die? Yeah, you know what? Anime only is just, you can wait about 13 weeks because we're gonna just slap a big old filler in your face. This is dubbed the In Naruto's Footsteps arc, where everyone in the Leaf Village is now taking the new Chunin exams, and they all pass. So we get to find out how and why they all became Chunins in probably the most lazy way possible that the anime could have done. So I'm going to try a new format with these videos again, just to kind of talk more about it. I enjoyed doing like the 5 things I liked, 5 things I didn't like aspect of it, but I want to try something new because I felt like I wasn't really talking about a lot of stuff from the arc. It was just things I liked and didn't like. So let's just kind of dive in. We're starting off this arc with Tsunade and Gaara just talking about the new Chunin exams that they want to start. Now, Tsunade wants to do this in order to draw the Akatsuki. And Gaara is kind of in this as well, because they also have some things going on with some rebel forces that really don't like Gaara because of all this change that he made in the Sand Village. So they come together and they're saying, hey, let's do the joint Chunin exams again. We'll try to draw the Akatsuki, maybe get these rebels out of your hair and all that, and hopefully we can maybe gauge how the other villages are handling this Akatsuki situation, which the other villages do not like at all. The Mist Village says no, the Cloud Village says no, the Stone, I thought they said yes, but it turns out they actually declined. So they were like, no, we're not doing that. So the only 2 main villages participating are the Sand and the Leaf, which, oh no, we got main characters from both sides. Whatever will we do? Some other villages do join as well. So we got the Hidden Rain and the Hidden Waterfall. And the Hidden Waterfall only sends 1 team, and we'll get to who that team is in just a little bit. The Hidden Rain sends a couple teams, mainly just to go there for collecting intel and maybe getting some news on any of the Jinchuriki that might be there. And we actually recognize one of those ninja from the Rain Village, which again we'll get to later on. The Leaf and the Sand are all together, and we find out that, hey, Shikamaru is still the only one of our main cast that is still a Chunin, because we have Sakura still a Genin, we have Ino still a Genin, all of them are still Genin. So they decide, okay, we're going to take these Chunin exams, and Sakura actually joins Ino and Choji for this, which is kind of cool. Get a nice little team dynamic with Ino and Sakura and all that. We'll talk about how cool that is later on, because a lot of this stuff in this first part is just setting everything up. So the Leaf Village finds out, the Leaf Village kind of finds out what's happening in the Rain Village through their invitation. So Kakashi actually runs to try to give it to Hanzo in the Rain Village, but he gets stopped, and unfortunately the message goes to a fake Hanzo. And the reason we see it's fake is because Kakashi, he tries to infiltrate again, but it doesn't work because Pain's there and he can sense him through the rain. But not only that, but Danzo later on says he is always in communications with Hanzo, but he wasn't for a while until like just recently. I think he sent something, which is weird to him. So there's this weird thing going on. Now, we as the audience know what it is because Pain's in charge of the Rain Village and all that stuff, but the Leaf Village doesn't know. So that's a nice little kind of touch, kind of putting things into perspective. But I guess the one thing I didn't like with this arc is just everything felt very condensed. And we'll get to that problem in a little bit. So the next part is the Chunin exams actually start. And we have part 1, which is the written test. And Shikamaru is part of the written test. And I really like how he did this. Basically what he does is he separates the groups of 3 into 3 different classrooms, and each of them has 3 different questions that need to answer. One's worth 30 points, one's worth 40 points, one's worth 50 points. They can't exceed 100 points, and the average score basically determines who stays and who goes. So it's really cool how they do that, but it's also cool because he has a second part to it, which we'll get to here in just a second. But this is really cool because what's happening is they have to relay the message to their other teammates in a way, and Neji, being the smartest one of these whole groups, actually tricks one of the sand ninja into thinking, oh, he's beating on this wall giving the message, I'm just gonna ruin it. And then she's just like, well, no, you can do what you want, but I'm just gonna ruin it back. I told you my plan, so that way I can foil you trying to foil my plan. So Neji, thinking multiple steps ahead, which will lead into the end of this arc later on. This is just a cool test because you see people freaking out, people just being like, whatever, I trust in my teammates, all that. Now, part 2 of the test is where the real test of what they're about is. So what the second part is, they had to flip over their paper and they had to put a name of somebody that they had to leave behind. Basically, it was just reflecting what happened to Shikamaru during his first mission as a Chunin, when Choji and Neji and Kiba and Naruto, everyone went their separate ways to block the enemy. It was Shikamaru gauging how people would react in that situation. What would they do? Would they sacrifice somebody? What would happen? The correct answer was to write down nobody's name. Nobody's getting sacrificed, because if that person was sacrificed, they would be disqualified. So they had to stay in like the classrooms and all that. So all 3 members of the team had to have the same answer as well. If they didn't, they would be disqualified. So this nice little sand team, the same sand team that tried to punk Neji with everything, they end up getting disqualified because they don't have all 3 members. But I just thought this was really cool as a first test, because it shows that Shikamaru was growing and learning from that time of trying to rescue Sasuke. Also, it showed Neji more of being a true leader, and everyone actually was coming together trying to figure out what Shikamaru's plan was for this first test, because Choji and Ino both knew Shikamaru had something up their sleeves, but they even were still very apprehensive about it all. It's just nice to see that people were coming together and working out something to try and all pass together. So lo and behold, the second part of the exam is actually in the Sand Village. That was part of the terms that the Leaf in the Sand came up with. Part 1, the written test in the Leaf Village. Part 2, in the Sand Village. So they need to have a preliminary test. It's basically a race to who can get there first to the Sand Village. It's a race against, I want to say 10 teams, I think? Either 10 or 30 teams. They threw out a 30 number. I think it was 30 people, but whatever. They get there, and, well, the night before, so everybody gets there, and they're all just kind of hanging out in this place. First of all, how dare they get catered food for the Chunin exams? Remember when the Chunin exams was like this big thing where people died and they didn't give a shit about who died and who survived? Yeah, Pepperidge Farm remembers, that's what. These kids get a catered food, and all chaos lets loose because some fat ass decides to sweat all over the place, and the Leaf Ninja kind of say, no, we're not doing that. That's not happening. Get your stanky ass out of here. And we get to see the Sand Village's own Rock Lee clash with Lee, and it's kind of cool. And of course, Fu makes an appearance, which we'll talk about Fu soon. Don't worry. We'll talk about her soon. But I do like the preliminary test of it being a race, because Tamari's kind of pissed that a lot of people passed Shikamaru's test. So having this preliminary was kind of fun. And there was also a coup that was happening against Gaara. Somebody tried to assassinate Gaara the night before. It's crazy. Like, things are happening, but I don't know. It was just kind of there too. But I do like how we had this preliminary for the second test. And the second test is, again, to do with 2 scrolls. You have to get the Heaven and the Earth scroll in order to pass the second test. And they have to spend 3 days in this desert area. So all of our heroes are gearing up for it, and everyone's just ready to go. And that's when we get to the worst part of this arc. So I say worst part. There's good and bad with all this. There's the good. The good is, hey, everyone gets to shine. Even 10-10 makes her continued filler shine in all of this. Isn't that just great? 10-10 gets to do something. If you notice, This one woman here on the top left corner of your screen, she is a Rain Village ninja. Now, she might look kind of familiar. She is the replacement Animal Path Pain from the Pain arc. Yeah, it was her. We get to see her a little bit do some stuff. So that's cool. Team Kurenai does some stuff that's mediocre at best because Kiba's a little whiny bitch, and I don't care who doesn't like that. He is a whiny bitch. We got some stuff with Ino and Sakura. Not much with Choji, surprisingly. I kind of wish we got some more with him. We definitely get a lot with Rock Lee because of his thing with Shinra, which, if I'm being honest, that's basically the highlight of this filler arc. It was really good because they're both taijutsu masters, specialists, if you will. And this guy, Shira, he actually was Gaara's taijutsu mentor. So Gaara wanted to know, just some more hand-to-hand combat. And he got this guy, Shira, who, again, was like Rock Lee, and just kind of helped Gaara with some hand-to-hand combat. And he became a ninja and all that. But the biggest thing with Shira is that the Sand had these rules in place where if you couldn't do ninjutsu or genjutsu, you couldn't go into the academy. And Shira only had taijutsu. Since the Sand wasn't like the leaf, lo and behold, sorry Shira, you can't be a ninja. So he just constantly trained and trained and trained. And he made this technique. I think he called it the Silent Fist, where basically he made his chakra kind of like owl wings. Thank God for Neji being able to explain things like boxing and owl wings to us in the audience. But apparently owl wings, they can make themselves silent as they're flying. That's why they're such great hunters. Shira made this into a technique of his, which is actually kind of badass when you think about it. So he fights Lee and they all go all out, and Lee obviously wins, but they're good friends afterwards. Good things happen. But with the rest of the teams, I mean, again, Team Kurenai, they fight these grass ninja who are basically delinquents. The one guy has like a cool bar haircut. The other guy is the big fat guy I mentioned earlier. And this other guy can summon this giant mole. So they had that fight. That was a few episodes. That was all right because it shows Kiba trying to train his 3-headed wolf technique. So that was cool and awesome. Shino also does like his giant bug thing. So the main focus of these episodes were basically to show that everybody, those special moves that we saw from the last arc where all these Leaf teams were facing off against those clones of the Ten Tails. Yeah, we're just seeing that, they had those special techniques this far back. And I do actually appreciate the Sakura stuff because it goes a little bit more in depth. I guess why it was more of a big deal for her to say, I finally caught up to you guys with the diamond regeneration thing, because she had to put so much chakra into like this huge pool that she could only separate like a little bit of chakra here and there. So we actually, throughout this whole series, have only just seen a little bit of Sakura's power. So that was kind of cool to see explained. Wish the manga did that, but whatever. Anime, you're trying to give us a little more with the side characters, which is pretty damn good. It's fine. Well, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Well, it's fine. So yeah, the biggest highlight from this definitely was Lee versus Shiro. 10-10 again, she got her stuff in. She actually had a moment with this Rain Village ninja because they both can summon weapons to the battlefield. So they kind of had a little moment there where they're kind of bonded a little bit. But I don't know. It's one thing that we got all of this, but I've said this in the past. The worst thing you can do in a filler arc is be boring. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of sat there watching this, kind of being bored out of my mind. especially with the Kiba stuff. I think I just hate Kiba. I'll just say it right now. I think I hate Kiba. Kiba's the worst. I hate Kiba. Go away, Kiba. Even the Sakura Ino stuff was fine. The Hinata stuff was okay. I don't know. It was fine. Like, it wasn't bad. It was fine. And also, before I forget, for a moment in like the Sakura part, we actually cut to Sasuke for a little bit, where he's gauging the power of Suigetsu and Karin. It's just weird how we just cut straight from Sakura to Sasuke. It was just really weird. and just came out of nowhere for some reason, because we're like halfway through an episode and Sakura's just like, wonder what Sasuke's doing, and lo and behold, there was Sasuke and visiting Suigetsu and Karin and being like, oh, I'm gonna take you guys with me. Yeah, it was just weird pacing. All right, next we're finally gonna talk about Fu. Oh, glorious and wonderful Fu. Oh, I actually really like Fu. She's a babe. she's a total babe. So Fu is from the Waterfall Village, and she is also the seventh-tailed Jinchuriki. Now, Fu's got an interesting personality. She is very energetic, and her whole thing is she wants to make 100 friends. And she had this guy named Shibuki, who is actually the village leader. He apparently saved her and was very much her mentor growing up. She wasn't very prevalent in this arc until mainly the end. I mean, she had her stuff in the beginning, and she would appear here and there, like, you know, she busted in when everybody was arguing about the dinner stuff. She beat this scorpion that was attacking Team Ino Saku Cho. Yeah, she saved them from some giant scorpion. Then the other big thing is she actually saved Gaara. Yeah, so the whole thing about the people that were trying to plan a coup and all that with Gaara, they were just trying to take away his tailed beast, and she actually tries to help him out with it, and she almost gets her tailed beast taken away. But she does end up helping him. You know, she makes this cocoon that kind of, the tailed beasts are still getting extracted, but not as quickly, so they're able to kind of sit it out a little bit longer and get some help with it. But I mean, I liked Fu. She kept reminding Gaara of Naruto in a way, which I guess I can understand. They're trying to do that tie-in where all Jinchuriki are a lot alike each other and all that stuff, but I don't know. I don't know about that one, Chief. I mean, I still liked Fu, though. I really liked her. I like her design. I like that we finally get to see some more of her. I guess the only... Now, we still don't know much about, you know, the fourth and the fifth. We saw the second a little bit. She at least did a little bit of something against Hidan and Kakuzu. We get some stuff with the seventh, so that was cool. She's a cool character. I do really like her. I think she was a lot of fun. She's definitely, next to Rock Lee versus Shira, Fu was probably the other highlight of this arc. So speaking of which, so the threat, the big old threat, the big old evildoers of this arc. So these people tried to take over the Sand Village. Well, not necessarily take over. They tried to just kill Gaara, and they tried to take away Shukaku from him. And like I said in my previous entry, Fu was there to kind of help him out, and then Team Neji, Lee, and Tenten ended up going there and saving the day, thanks to Neji's quick thinking and how he probably shouldn't be a Chunin right now, but we'll just talk about that later. So this guy, honestly, I forgot his name. But this guy, he finds Gaara during this sandstorm. So this big old sandstorm starts happening in the middle of the second exam. They kind of put these exams on hold. Kankuro and Tamara go out and look for people to try to help them and get them into shelter and all that. And Gaara goes out as well to kind of help everybody. You know, we see the sand girl that is in every filler arc ever dealing with Gaara. Anything to deal with Gaara, this girl's around. But anyways, so he's trying to save everybody, and then he helps people, and they all scatter and all that. When all of a sudden, this guy with a shamisen comes by and catches this team that is very close to Gaara, and Gaara's like, oh no you don't, and he falls for the obvious trap, and the guy just uses this. It's actually a really cool technique. It's like he plays his shamisen, and anytime he like changes the key or the tempo, he activates a different technique, kind of like what's her face from the Sound Ninja 4, basically using techniques based off of sound and music and all that, which is actually really cool. So the musician in me kind of likes that. Unfortunately, he really doesn't amount to jack shit. And he has this other guy that was kind of working with him. He was this person that was an older shinobi, and Gaara actually meets up with him after, they take out this guy, thanks to Neji again. For what happens is like they kind of reverse the technique, so it binds this guy, and then after that, Gaara goes to find this soldier that was with him earlier in this arc, which, I'm sorry, if you look at this guy, he's kind of a dick. Like, you can be like, oh, you're gonna be the filler enemy. Gotcha, excellent. And Gaara basically talk no jutsus him. He's just like, the past is done. My father tried to kill me multiple times. Do what you want, but don't bring the next generation into this. Because I have people in my next generation, which we actually get a nice little callback, because Shira and that filler sand girl, I always forget her name. I apologize. Or do I apologize? I really don't care. But those two kind of have a nice little fight, and just to kind of see where they're at with each other. It happens during this conversation that Gaara has with the guy. And the guy's just like, okay, I'll trust in your thoughts. Very anticlimactic. So people want to talk about talk no jutsu with Naruto. I'm sorry, they did a worse job with this filler arc with the talk no jutsu. But God, the evildoers of this arc were lame as hell. All right, so let's talk about the aftermath of this arc. So remember that old guy we were just talking about? Yeah, turns out he just commits seppuku, just kills himself. He's just like, I'm gonna take responsibility for everything. Stab, die. So if this is actually a canon arc that they want us to think, why does that happen? Why is there no consequence to this guy just disappearing? Wouldn't somebody just be like, hey Gaara, what happened to that old dude that was always with you? I don't know, he died mysteriously. Oh, okay, Gaara, can you just stand over there, please? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's poetic, I guess, because he's like the old guard and he's just like, I disgraced myself, blah, blah, blah. But it took me by surprise a lot. So that happened to him. Poor Fu, because on their way back to the waterfall village, they run into Hidan and Kakuzu, and she recognizes who Kakuzu is and wants to be friends with him. Like, after she had already made friends with most of the Leaf Village, this guy Kakuzu comes up. She's like, let's be friends. And he's like, yeah, no, we're not going to be friends. And it just kind of cuts off there. So poor Fu got decimated by Hidan and Kakuzu. That happened. And then poor Ajisai as well, because she gets promoted to Chunin. And then Konan is like, hey, you're a Chunin now. Time to go on an S-rank mission. And then we cut to the scene where the two guys are carrying her body to the tower. It's like, oh my God, what are you doing? And then we finally cut to the Leaf Village, and as you see here, we have all of our main cast. But wait, who are these three random filler characters? Well, don't worry about them. I just know them as Team Komugi, but Team Komugi here don't become Chunins, but everyone else in the picture gets to become Chunins. Why? Because after all the stuff happened with the Shamisen guy trying to take away Shukaku, Gaara ended the Chunin exams there. So there was going to be no third round of the Chunin exams. All the results were just going to go straight to their villages, and the Kages were going to figure out what to do from there. We find out that Shira and his team got promoted to Chunin, and this nice little scene with like the older sister saying bye to the younger sister because I guess she has a crush on Shira, which okay. I mean, the guy's basically an adult, and whatever. It's kind of creepy. I kind of wish he went with the older sister, but whatever. I hope we see the older sister. Maybe we have seen the older sister again. I don't know. I'm
a few inches later.
So yeah, they become Chunin, and they go to... Oh, I forgot to mention this. So Shira, his main thing was he wanted to become a Chunin and go all the way up to, like, I think it was the northern border, where it's very dangerous, and you basically never hear from people again when they go there. So that's his getting rid of that filler character time there. Filler Sand Girl becomes Chunin then, and then, like I just said, everyone in this picture except for Neji becomes a Chunin, and Neji just goes straight to Jonin because of all the shit he had to do. This, you want to talk about rushed? This was rushed. Now, one thing I didn't talk about, and I probably should have talked about it earlier, But the whole time that they're going through their turmoils during the Chunin exam, they're all thinking about Naruto. How would Naruto do this? How would Naruto do that? We gotta catch up to Naruto. We gotta be just like Naruto. And we see little hints of where Naruto's at in his training. So we see like when Jiraiya released the 4 tails onto himself, and we see at the end where they're kind of getting ready to leave and head back to Leaf Village. The timing of everything is just, it's so condensed. It's like, why did everyone become Chunin at the same exact time? And right before Naruto, right before the beginning of Shippuden, mind you. That is just asinine. I'm sorry. That's bad writing. That's what that is. That is bad writing. Just, oh, let's make everybody Chunin at the same time. Fuck it. Like, I would prefer just like a few of them being, I mean, I guess the name of the arc is In Naruto's Footsteps, but God, I wish they did something a little bit different instead of just making everybody a Chunin all at once. So everybody becomes Chunin, you become Chunin, you become Chunin, you all become Chunin! So my overall final grade for this arc is a C. God, where to begin? So I liked some of the stuff in it. I like how we get most of the main cast doing something for once. We have Fu, so we have another Jinchuriki there to kind of know her story. And I mean, just kind of cool to see a new Chunin exam, but man, it's bogged down by just kind of being somewhat boring. I mean, there were some highlights, you know, again, Rock Lee versus Shira. There were some good character moments too, like with, dare I say, Sakura. She actually had some decent moments in this. Like, some of the good stuff was actually kind of good, but overall, like, again, if you're boring, if I'm just sitting there wishing I could be doing something else, you're kind of down. And I'm being very generous with the C, mainly because of some of the stuff I did like. You know, like Shikamaru's test, for example, was vastly different from the first Chunin exam. Tamari having everybody do this preliminary test racing to the Sand Village. That was kind of cool. That's about it, though. I mean, boring villain, slow as God pacing. Like, it's sad when some of the character beats you're trying to do within a filler arc feels like filler. And again, like, if you're boring, you're boring to me. And that's the worst thing you can do. But I'll just leave it at that. This arc was a C. I'm glad we're finally getting back into canon material next time. Like, I have the DVD up right now, and I'm tempted just to start watching it because, man, I need that canon material, and we're almost done, too. Like, we only have a few more arcs left to do, even though some of them are filler, but whatever. I'm done talking about this arc. Again, final grade C. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below of this arc if you watched it. Be sure to like the video if I entertained you in any way, shape, or form. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I do these arc reviews every single week, whether it's Naruto, Yu Yu Hakusho. When those are over, I already know what I'm going to do after that, so be on the lookout for those announcements coming soon. And yeah, be sure to ring the bell as well so you get notified of anytime I upload a video. So as always, people, I've been your world champion, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. See you.
I don't need you. Better things are coming on the way.